Shauna.
S for Sonia. And we are on the lawn of College Hill today getting ready to talk about Haywood County native who we have a historical marker dedicated to. And we have a very special guest today.
Yes. With us today is none other than Scott Williams.
Scott is the president and CEO of Discovery Park of America. But Scott, we claim as a Haywood County.
That's right.
His parents, his grandparents are from here. He spent his summers in Haywood County, and you know,
Yeah.
I just say he's native Haywood
He's
County.
a Haywood Countyan.
Yeah, yeah. So, but he has written a book about Richard Halliburton, and we're going to have a conversation with him. So you'll learn more about this great adventure.
Come on, stay tuned with us.
Our special guest today is Scott Williams. He's going to talk to us about his first book, and a Haywood County native.
Richard Halliburton. He was born here, and his parents were very involved in the community here. Both his mom and dad worked here. His mother taught school and his father farmed. And so even as he was growing up, they frequently returned here to Haywood County to visit family.
And there is family that still lives here today. Tell us what's significant about Richard Halliburton.
Sure, so Richard Halliburton was an interesting guy in that he and his family moved to Memphis, and he eventually went up north to go to school, and he just wanted to be an adventurer. He was sickly, not a very strong young man, but he just had a spirit of adventure that he wanted to experience. And so he took off, and he would travel all over the world, and then he would come back to Memphis or go to his home in New York or wherever he was living at the time, and he would write about it. And so he would write about his adventure and sell the books to fund more adventures. So he became a big celebrity. He wrote in newspapers, magazines. Of course, many people have forgotten him today, but back then he was one of the bigger celebrities that was in the United States. People back then had just started to think about international travel, and so a lot of people who were in classrooms around the country, teachers would give them Richard Halliburton's books to inspire interest in other countries. And so he also gathered a lot of young following fans who would then also it would inspire them to travel around the world as well. So he inspired a lot of travel and tourism, which you and I, are champions of, certainly. But he also, he had a certain kind of celebrity that wasn't, a lot of people didn't have back then. So he dressed really immaculately. He liked the finer things in life. And that actually is what ended up being his downfall in the long run.
And we like to say, especially when we're talking to visitors to Brownsville about Richard Halliburton, is that he was the first travel writer.
He absolutely was. He was the first person for whom travel and celebrity went hand in hand. Yeah. Richard Halliburton funded his lifestyle with travel. And so he would basically travel, write books, speak publicly, and then he would basically blow all his money on clothes and food and houses, but he loved every minute of it. He finally needed an infusion of cash, so the San Francisco World's Fair was about to happen in 1939, and so he was going to travel in a Chinese junk, which is a big ship, all the way from Hong Kong into the harbor. Art Linkletter, interestingly, is one of the ones who hired him to do this stunt, which would be, a promotional stunt. Unfortunately, they had a hard time getting a junk that was already in existence purchased, so they decided to build one. He ended up having young college students hire on. They paid for the privilege of being able to be on the boat that was built, but the boat was actually built. He added a lot of extra things to the cabin so it would be a little more comfortable, rendering the boat actually not as seaworthy as it needed to be. He also hired a captain that was not as good of a captain as one would hope, and unfortunately a storm came and the entire ship sunk out at sea. And so he died, unfortunately, a very tragic death, but also he died as he lived in the middle of a great adventure.
And he was only 39 years old,
Yeah,
correct?
he was very young. One thing when you're researching Richard Halliburton, he was born in 1900, so it was easy to keep up with how old he was and what was going on in America at the time of the different stages of his life. His parents struggled a bit after he died. They never, it took them a long time to really accept that he had died. Eventually, his father donated a lot of money and built the Halliburton Tower at Rhodes College in Memphis. And so, you know, people who are driving up and down Parkway can look over to the, depending on which way you're going, look over to the right and see that big brick building and remember Richard Halliburton's adventures.
And the monument, the marker that is here is not far from the home that he was born in, which
Yes.
is just around the corner.
And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful
Yes.
red brick house still up on a big green hill. It's a beautiful, beautiful house.
So if people want to learn more about Richard Halliburton, I'll let you hold your book and you can tell them about how to get a book.
Well, first of all, if you go to halliburtonbook.com, you can see newspaper articles. I've put a whole bunch of stuff on the website because more, you know, yes, I would love for people to read the book, but also I'd love for people to remember Richard Halliburton and not forget him. He did lead a remarkable life, a very fascinating life. And so I think he has a lot that he can offer us still today. So check that out. You can certainly get my book for sale. I would suggest that people come to the visitor center on exit 56. Tell me the whole name of the place.
West Tennessee Delta Heritage Center.
That. Go there. Sonia sells my book there. And I think they're autographed even. If
I think
if
so.
you want an autograph, not just give me a shout, I'll autograph it for you.
Yeah.
Or Richard Halliburton himself wrote more than 10 books. So get online and look for his books. They're fascinating to read. Of course, it's the style written back then, but I read every single one of them multiple times and just love the way he writes and love just the stuff that's been written about him through the years. So it's well worth checking out Richard Halliburton and some of the stuff that he's done.
And some of the stuff that he done is kind of legendary.
Yeah, that's
you know,
right. Yeah,
the first person to.
Yeah, he would fly over pyramids. He would at the Taj Mahal. He stayed after they told him to close it down and went swimming in the pools there. He would go into Africa, and you know he just really just had all types of adventures. Part of the challenge of writing about him, though, is he also let's see, the way he would say it is he didn't mind slapping a coat of red paint on an old barn or something like that. So he would make up a few things and he would exaggerate sometimes. So you had to sort of, when I was writing about him, I had to figure out, you know, is what he wrote what he really did, or, you know, is there proof, or is it something that he exaggerated? So it's kind of hard, but yeah, he and that's a criticism that a lot of writers and journalists, as you can see from the historic marker, he also wrote for a lot of magazines, and so a lot of journalists would criticize him because he didn't exactly tell fact. He exaggerated. So, but he did a lot of. We know for sure that there's a lot of adventures that he actually did because we have witnesses. So yeah, he traveled literally all over the world. I love what David Swartz, whose quote is on the back of the book, who was from Smithsonian Magazine, he's a reporter. He wrote that he was Marco Polo and Indiana Jones wrapped up in one, with P.T. Barnum's flippancy and James Bond's bravado, capped off by F. Scott Fitzgerald's aristocratic good looks and manners. So that's a great way to describe Richard Halliburton.
And a great way to end our conversation. What do you say?
Absolutely fantastic. I hope everybody comes and visits.
So Sonia, you know, if you think about Richard Halliburton, he was such a man of adventure, journeys, exploration, and it sounded like he had one huge sense of humor.
I have to have been one of those friends
Yeah.
who went on some of those adventures with him.
I know. Just, you know, looking at the marker here on the campus of College Hill, we know that it was erected in 2008 by Haywood County and the Historical Society, as well as the city of Brownsville. And then we have a display in our Haywood County Museum here on campus
We do.
in honor of Richard Halliburton.
So a native son.
That's it.
A native son that we're proud of, and happy that this marker is here, and hope that we taught you a little bit of history today.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. All right. It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. See y'all next time.
Bye.